possible, especially if you can find a tenant buyer that wants to move in one of the units and have the other unit as an income producing, or maybe it would be an ideal situation for a mother-in-law situation. There's a lot of people today, a lot of baby boomers that, feel an obligation to take care of their parents, or they don't have the financial resources to be able to put their parents in some sort of a nursing home or senior facility. So the next best thing is to have them nearby. They don't really want to have them in their living space. So if you had a nice sized duplex, let's say 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, good size, maybe, 1,300, 1,500 square feet, it might be an ideal situation to put your, the parents on the other side of the duplex. That way they have their own independence in their own unit. Typically duplexes are single story, and you have yours, but you're right there to check on them every day to see how they're doing. So you could do a lease option on something like that, where the person moved in one side of the tenant buyer moved on one side, and they actually moved their parents on the other side, and maybe the parents pay a little rent every month or whatever arrangements they want to make out. But the primary deal is you do the lease option directly with that tenant buyer. So you can do a lease option on a multifamily unit under the right circumstances. Anyway, that was the question, Steve. Back to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've heard that question before too, and I think I think the issue is really hard to find the right tenant buyer for something like that, right?
Yeah, but you'd be surprised. I mean, when you in certain areas, especially if you advertise, lease option with mother-in-law quarters, I mean, your phone will ring off the hook.
Well, yeah, I think most people haven't tried that one, huh? That's awesome. All right. We also got a question from Ashley in here. I think she looks like she's marketing for some lease option sellers, and she wants to know what a good phrase or idea to put on the bandit signs to attract lease option sellers, or should she just use the traditional, we buy houses sign?
Well, the best thing to get the maximum amount of calls is, people don't, typically most people, this is the amount of times you've been on the phone, is the majority of people don't want to do a lease option. So if you put that on your signs, you're probably not going to get hardly any calls at all. What people are interested in is they want to sell their property for cash. So the purpose of the sign is to get the phone to ring. And then once the phone rings and you determine, if the property is worth $60,000, let's say, and they owe $55,000, obviously it's not a good candidate for a cash buy. It's probably not going to be a good candidate for any kind of other strategy except for a lease option. But your typical sellers are not going to think that way. And they're going to go, well, we don't want to do a lease option because that means we're going to be a landlord, and, all the negative things come up that they've heard, so they're not going to call you. So my best advice would be is to put, we buy houses cash, or some, idea along those lines. And then once the people call, you can determine what the best strategy is in order to solve their particular situation. So you'll get more calls if you do it that way. Back to you.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I do the same. Even when I'm talking to a lease option seller, I always approach the phone call as a cash buyer, or at that angle, right? And then at the point in the conversation where you can tell that's not a good fit for this, the seller, or you're not going to be able to give them their asking price, you'll start talking about lease option. Yeah, because you're right. Everybody wants to hear the cash offer, right?
Yeah. Every seller wants full price, all cash.
You're right.
That's just the way it is. So if you offer, a lease option before they've exhausted the full price, all cash offer, then they're typically not going to be interested in anything that you have to say. So you have to go through the process. You have to, build a rapport, find out the property information, get an idea, why they're selling, take the temperature on their motivation and things like that. And then, you slide that in and say, well, because of what you owe, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you owe $85,000 on a $90,000 property, it's really not going to be a property that's going to fit for us under our cash strategy. Would you consider, if we're able to get close to your asking price, would you consider leasing the property now and having us, buy it later in a year or two? Is that something that you might consider? So you've already gone through the process, the whole screening process. You've built rapport. You find out what their circumstances are. And now that's when you present that option to them, and the chances are they're going to be a lot more amenable to that type of solution than if you come out, out of the gate at them with that strategy. Listen, hi, Steve, how you doing? Listen, I saw your ad about the property. Listen, would you consider a lease option on the property? And your answer in most cases is going to be no, because I really haven't earned the right to ask that question yet. Haven't spent enough time with them, haven't really found out what their circumstances are and find out the best solution for them. And then, once I do that, then at the end, I sort of hit them with the lease option or the owner financing strategy. And is that something that they might consider? At that point, they might be a little bit more open to considering that. Once they've got to know you a little bit, you talk to them 3 to 5 minutes, and now they might be a little bit more open to that solution. Back to you, Steve.
Yeah, I used to I would just call and then mention lease option right in the first 30 seconds, minute of the conversation, which can work, but like you're saying, the majority of the people are just going to say no. So you have to go through a ton of calls to get one, to finally get that guy that's just like, oh yeah, I was looking for someone to help me with a lease option. But yeah, the transition is definitely more effective.
Well, and also at the end of the conversation, after you've spoken to them and you said, and you they've indicated the condition of the property, what their circumstances are, et cetera, and then you ask them the question, well, if for some reason you're not able to sell the property, are you folks just going to lease it like everybody else? Mm-hmm. And when they say that, then you say, well, suppose that I could find somebody that was willing to lease it now and willing to buy it a little bit later on. Is that something that you might consider? And see, they've already said that leasing is a possible solution, so they've said that. And now, what they really want to do, they really don't want to be landlords. What they really want to do is they really want to sell the property. And, the leasing part of it is the last choice. So if you can provide that choice plus an opportunity to get the property sold, they might be more open to that, because they've already indicated that ultimately if they can't get it occupied, they're going to lease it out anyway. Back to you, Steve.
Yeah. Hey, we got a property that we're looking at in the Midwest with a basement, right? And there's obvious foundation issues where we can see a crack in the wall of the basement, right? Are there, we're at the point right now where we're ready to, the price and everything's negotiated with the seller, but we need to have an expert come in and look at the foundation, obviously. You have any tips or tricks or stuff to look out for with a property with some foundation issues, Phil?
Yeah, I've had a lot of experience with that. It just depends on, what the cause of it is. Typically, the cause of foundation issues is water. Yeah. And so the first thing to make sure of is, that you solve the water problem. What happens is sometimes houses or properties don't have downspouts, and the water falls down the side of the building and then ultimately destroys the subbase because the water gets down into the foundation. Or they do have downspouts, but the downspouts are literally pouring the water against the building or against the house. Or the concrete, there's concrete against the house and it's actually tipped where the water comes towards the property instead of away. So that's the first thing to look at. As far as the cracks go, depends on whether or not the foundation is actually shifted. If it's just a crack and the foundation's still intact, once you solve the water problems, usually you can grind that out and fill it in, and that will solve the problem. But yeah, you definitely, when you start seeing cracks and it looks like there might be some wall or foundation movement, you definitely need to get the opinion of a foundation specialist and see what that's going to entail, because usually the minimum repair on any kind of foundation is $5,000. They usually start there and go up. And if they've got to go in and, like in our area, when you solve a foundation problem, they have to actually dig down all around the outside of the house, way underneath the foundation to the bedrock, and they have to put these posts underneath the foundation on the whole section of the house that is shifted. So, the foundation stabilizes. In some cases, they have to jack it up a little bit and level things out. And then they come in with a big bunch of concrete, usually, with a concrete hose, and fill that all in. And sometimes they do work on the inside as well to solidify all that. And then they cover it all back up and then fill in any cracks that are on the inside or the outside of the building. But something like that's going to cost you somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 or more, depending on what the situation actually is. So yeah, you've got to have an expert take a look at it if it's serious enough and get an opinion. And then also one other tip, Steve, is if somebody does the work, they need to make sure that the warranty is going to be transferable to the ultimate owner-occupant.
Oh.
That's one of the things that I learned. Is we did one, must be about 6 or 7 years ago. It was a great big one. And that's one of the things I negotiated as part of the deal. As I said, you must put a clause in there where this thing is assignable to the homeowner. And it's a good thing I did that, because that was a major issue of the homeowner, because we had to disclose to the homeowner that we had this problem, and we had the documentation. We had an engineer look at it, foundation company look at it, we had the warranty, and it was assignable. So because we had all that paperwork, and I kept copies of all the drawings and documents and was able to transfer all that to the new homeowner, they looked at it all. They saw that the warranty was going to be transferable into their name, which is what we did. And so they were satisfied that that problem was solved, so that didn't become a detriment to the value of the property or a detriment to our ability to sell it, because they were satisfied that that problem was solved. In fact, really, the foundation was stronger than it originally was when the house was built. So that's really important, that if whoever does that kind of work, makes sure the warranty is transferable to the ultimate owner-occupant or the ultimate landlord that's going to be buying that property and keeping it. Back to you.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds good. Actually, we got another, let's see, we got Stephen asking, do you have any national lenders for pre-qual for the tenant buyers?
It depends on the area.
Depends on the area.
Yeah, it depends on the area. We had one guy that spoke when we were doing the calls with Joe McCall. We had one guy that was kind of a national lender. But you're better served to find a local lender. You really are. What you want to do is you want to pre-screen some local mortgage brokers, and the ones that seem open and interested, then you want to go ahead and maybe meet with them personally in their office or take them out to lunch and explain to them exactly what you're trying to do, and bring your paperwork with you and say what you're trying to do is pre-screen your tenant buyers. You want to know if they have an in-house credit repair system, or do they have a credit repair company that they recommend locally that they use. In other words, you want to find somebody that specializes in working with first-time home buyers and credit-challenged buyers. And they have first-time home buyer programs. That's who we found in our area. I mean, we got a guy that's probably 70% of his business is first-time home buyers. And first-time home buyers typically have problems with their credit. Sometimes major, sometimes minor, but so they figured out in order for that mortgage company to survive, they had to create an in-house credit repair program and they actually came up with a business plan for buyers to show them exactly what they need to do in order to get qualified for a mortgage based on their own personal circumstances. And so he gives them a plan of action. You know, you need to do this, 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 and this to get those late pays off your credit. And, you know, it's going to take you about 6 months to do that. And if you follow this plan, check in with me from time to time, you know, we can get you qualified in the next 6 months to a year or whatever it is. And so that's really what they need to find. So check with realtors, check with their local real estate investors association, and find out which mortgage brokers that people recommend to do business with. I can assure you realtors know who the best mortgage brokers in town are because their commissions are dependent on closing deals. If the deal doesn't close, the realtors don't get paid, so they know who all the players are and who the people are that get the job done. And so that's what you want to do. Find a local lender. That's your best solution. If you're looking for a national lender, I need to know the area that you're in, and I can probably make a recommendation to that lender that was originally on one of our calls when we were doing it with Joe.
He's out in Florida right now.
Oh, in Florida? They should be able to find a mortgage broker in Florida. My goodness. I'd recommend it.
There might be one or two, huh?
Yeah. Just about every area of Florida has a big-time real estate investors association.
Oh, nice.
You know, get a recommendation from somebody there or a local realtor. There's a lot of realtors that go to those meetings, and get some recommendations on who they use. I mean, you know, they'll. Florida's a real creative area. You know, even in advertising and Craigslist and newspaper, et cetera, you know, there'll be all kinds of mortgage brokers that are advertising saying, you know, we'll get your first-time home buyers qualified, or we'll get your buyers qualified. So I'd recommend that you stay in Florida if I were in Florida, I'd find somebody local. Back to you.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
Let's see. If we don't have any other questions here, I think we'll dial in and make a couple calls. If anybody has a question, feel free to pop them in as I'm calling, and then we'll get to the questions as well. Sound good to you, Bill?
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Awesome. Try not to blow up the webinar here. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, I think we got it here. Let me know if you can hear the ringtone. Hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it. You probably should go ahead and mute me out.
Okay.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 70229666968 is not available.
Hi, this is Steve. I was returning your call. It was probably about a house that you had for sale. You can reach me at 310-579-2419. I'll talk to you later. Bye. All right. Plug in my notes. We'll get on to the next one. It's a little slower than before because I'm inside a Podio now, where it's really easy to copy paste from a spreadsheet and get to the calls really quickly. Yeah, Bill, I'm reporting. We're recording the session. Then I'm also recording the calls locally too.
Hello.
Oh, hi, this is Steve. I was returning your call. It was probably about a house that you had for sale. Does that sound familiar?
Hello. Wait a minute, Steve.
Yeah, no
You
problem.
still there? Oh.
Yeah, I'm here.
Is that Steve? John Douglas? Who was it?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm Kyle's business partner. Did you get a letter from Kyle in the mail?
You want to know something? He wrote a letter in September.
Okay.
Sent it to 1320. And I didn't get it yet, but it's supposed to be on the way down here now.
Oh, okay. The home is on its way now?
Supposedly, yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is like a double wide then?
Pardon me?
Is this like a mobile home?
Well, I'm living down here with my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been out of the house in over a year.
Uh-huh.
So I will see what address is Douglas's father live on?
I'm not sure. Yeah. What was the house you're looking to sell? Is it a mobile home or is it like a traditional home?
Pardon me?
Oh, you said the house is on its way. Is that correct?
I'm living in a house.
Oh, okay. Is it all right if I ask you some questions about the property?
Pardon me?
Is it okay if I ask you some questions about the property?
Where, 1320?
Is that the one that you're interested in selling?
I don't know what property you're talking about.
Oh, well, I just returned your call, so I really don't know what house, but I was looking to buy a property. Do you have a house you're interested in selling?
I got a house in Philadelphia.
Okay. What's the address?
Oh, that's 13.
Is it?
It's got 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom,
One bathroom. Okay.
and a cellar.
And a cellar?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the house you're living in now, right?
Pardon me?
Oh, this is where you live now?
Well, I'm living with my sister right now.
Oh, okay. Is there a tenant in the property or is it vacant right now?
In Philadelphia, it's
Yeah.
vacant.
It's vacant? Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right. How's the condition of the property? Like, what kind of repairs does it need?
Well, the outside of the house, everything's all right.
Mhm.
I just had a new roof put on there about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And and the windows are pretty good in the basement. I put glass windows in there, put blocks, so nobody'd be breaking in there.
Mhm. Nice.
And so it's pretty good.
All right. How about like the kitchen and bath? Have they been updated or are they pretty much original?
No, they haven't been updated.
Mhm. Okay.
No.
All right. Sounds like a nice little house. Why would you even consider selling it?
Well, I'm 85 years old.
Oh, wow.
I had a heart attack. I had a stroke. I've been in the hospital. I went in the hospital in March last year. I didn't get out until May.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not able to get around by myself.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
I
Do
consider
you have an idea of what the property is worth?
I just paid the real estate taxes last week, and they got an appraisal of $37,000,
Okay.
but I don't know what they would get it for.
Right.
You're a real estate man.
Yeah, I'm an investor. I mean, we're looking for a property that we can either fix up or use as a rental. I'm not a real estate agent, though. I would be the one buying it.
Yeah, I don't know how you got my number. I didn't call you.
Oh, you probably called my business partner on a different line. That's why. Yeah, I don't think you called this number that I called you on here.
I didn't call nobody and tell anybody about the property.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's one single guy.
Mm-hmm.
Lives in Allentown. His father lives on the same street of Turnbull Street.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I thought he was interested in moving down here. I don't know.
Oh, I see.
I haven't talked to him.
Right. How soon are you looking to sell the property?
Well, I'm not actually no hurry.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome.
So I just wait and see what comes along.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have an idea of, what you want for the property, or, if I made you a cash offer and took care of all the closing costs for you, what's the best price you'd be willing to sell it?
Well, like this moment, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. That's fair enough.
So I'm giving you two answers.
Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything owed against the property, or is it free and clear for now? Huh?
No. The property's been cleared years ago. I cleared it years ago.
How far is your sister's place from the property? Would it be possible to meet with you, or for us to be able to go take a look at the property?
I'm 90 miles away from the property.
Oh, okay. If we wanted to take a look at it, how could we do that?
Well, I have a brother who's in the city,
Mm-hmm.
and he might be able to. Right now, he's tied up. He'll fall and bust his head over. So he tells me he's not allowed to drive or nothing right now. So I don't know.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Let me do a little research, and then I'll follow up with you in a few days, and we'll see what we can do. What was your name again?
My name is Frederick Gallagher.
Okay.
I've owned the property since 1949.
Wow.
Well, before that, I was born and raised in the house. So, there's nobody else lived in the house.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it seems like a really great house. let me do a little research on my end, and then, I'll get back with you, and we'll try and see how we can take a look at it later or what we can do, okay? Does that sound good?
Good enough.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Man, that was like pulling teeth there in the beginning to get anywhere, but... set up. So I'm going to set myself a task to follow up here. Let's see. I don't see any other questions popping up. Let me check. I think we were going to go to about 9:45 today. Since we actually got somebody on the phone, I think we'll just wrap up here instead of giving you guys a bunch of voicemails. We hit our LOA a little early. You got anything on your end, Bill? Anything pop up?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I
Awesome.
think we addressed the questions, and what you might want to do is maybe get a baseline script of the questions. That's what we used to do. I don't know if you still want to do that, for this review session.
Post it up, right?
Is we
can do that.
Gil used to put a baseline script of the questions that you're going to ask up, as a base up on the screen. So anyway, just a suggestion.
Yeah, it'll get better.
No, that was it's a good session. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
No, that was a great call. I mean, he's an older gentleman, and obviously he wasn't easy to understand. I mean, you had to, but you did great. I mean, you got the information from him, and it could be a great lead. It's a property he's obviously not getting any income on. It's sitting vacant. It's probably been vacant for a while. It could have been vandalized or subject to that. So could be a great opportunity. I mean, sounds like the property's been abandoned. He wants out of it. And so those are exactly the kind of situations that we're looking for, where somebody no longer wants a property and they just want to get as much out of it as they possibly can and move on.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds like a good one. Yeah, all right. Sounds good. Well, let's see. Checking the questions. I was here yesterday. Was there a recording of yesterday's session? I'm probably, but that's Gil's department. But we did have a session yesterday, so most likely it was recorded. Check the Facebook group for any updates or postings there. Me and Bill will be back tomorrow, so we're going to hold the session tomorrow. We'll do the same thing. Any questions that pop up, we'll answer them, and then at the end we'll make a few seller calls as well. Sound good, Bill?
All right, sounds good, Steve.
All right.
All right, have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yep, see you tomorrow, everybody.